Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at 4 simple mods you should do to your FCX24 before you do anything else. Now they're nice and simple. They're going to affect your steering, your drivability, and, just generally make it a nicer and a better rig to use. So let's get straight into them. Okay, so the first one is really simple. It's only a small change, but it makes a little bit of difference, and it just affects your steering. As we steer, we're touching on this little screw. Now what you can do is just simply back that screw out, just move it to the back, so just literally turn it around, and it'll just give you a tiny bit more steering. So let's get that done. I'll do one side, leave the other side in, and then you can just see the difference. So there we go, move that screw just to the back, so you can see on the back there is the screw head. And then it's changed from the front. On the other side we've got its original position, and just to show you the difference, so now when we steer you can see it's touching the screw. That side it's got that bit of extra clearance, so you can see that difference versus that one. You can see it kind of hits it and moves off it. So yeah, really simple. You just need a 1.5mm hex driver, just literally just undo it. It's just the screw that holds in your caster block. So yeah, just literally just undo it, turn it around, put it on the other side, job done. And then you've just gained yourself, a little bit of steering angle. You can see the difference, look. It just gives you that a little bit more. So yeah, that's mod 1. So let's get that other screw changed over. So that's both of them changed over. You can see they're both on the back now, and it just gives us that little bit of extra steering. So super free mod. All you need is your 1.5mm hex driver, job done. Okay, now the next thing I'd recommend you do is, as standard out of the box, it comes forward brake reverse. So basically what that means is you go forwards, you hit back, and all you get is brake. You've got to release it and then do again to do reverse. So forward, brake, reverse. Okay, but what you can do is just by simply pressing the reverse button twice, and then it'll flash, and then you press the bind button once, and then reverse button twice again. It goes back solid green, and then now if you go forward, reverse, forwards, for a lot of people it's just going to make it much easier to drive. If you don't need to use the brake, just do forward and reverse, especially for younger drivers. It's going to be much easier for them just to go straight into reverse than have to use the brake all the time. So a nice simple one. So the third simple thing you want to look at is also how much drag brake you want. So basically what you can do is, again, press your reverse button twice, okay, and then while it's flashing, basically you can go through these 4 different buttons here to choose your drag brake from 0 to 100. So ST0 would be 0% drag brake, ST plus would be 50%, throttle minus is 75, and throttle plus is 100%. Okay, so basically just press it, okay, and then double press reverse again, and then now you'll have 100% drag brake. So some people like 100% drag brake, some people prefer it to freewheel a little bit. So again, just have a play with it. If you want to cycle through the options, just double click it, and then just basically choose it. Like say you want a 0 drag brake, double click it again, and then basically when you drive then it'll just freewheel. If you wanted to then change it, double click it again. Let's say you wanted to try 50%, there you go. Okay, and yeah, you can just cycle through the drag brake then and just decide on which setting you want. I personally prefer 100% drag brake, but again, it's up to you what you want to choose. But again, just something nice and simple to do. And the fourth simple change you can do is to adjust your throttle due rate. So it can do 0 to 120%. It comes standard as 100%. Now it does have a servo saver on there, so you shouldn't technically damage anything, but I like to run mine at 110%. So basically all you're going to do is just hold the throttle at full throttle, okay, and then while you're holding it, you're just going to press the steering minus or the steering plus. So steering minus is going to reduce the dual rate, steering plus is going to increase the dual rate. And if you hold it, it'll tell you when it reaches the end by doing a long beep. So if we hold down steering plus, so it tells us it's maxed out, okay? if we were to, so now you can see we've got full dual rate, okay? If we were to hold it again and hold the minus all the way down, okay, so that's literally at 0%. You can see now we've got no throttle. Stupid, but you know, just to prove that it works. So if we go back, you can see it moving. Okay, so now we're at 120%. So if we just want to do 110, I'm just going to hold it again, and I'm just going to go do it twice, okay? And then we've got 110% dual rate. You can do the same for the throttle as well. So if you've got like kids driving it and you want to reduce the maximum throttle, again, just same thing, you would hold the throttle fully in, and then again, you would press your throttle minus or throttle plus just to reduce the dual rate on it. So you could set it at like 50% throttle if you didn't want to have as much speed in like second gear and so on, or you wanted to try and make it, you know, even more kind of slow speed control. You could do that with those with that throttle adjustment. Okay, so the last mod we're going to do, and the one that I want to do the most, is we're going to oil fill the shocks. So as standard, you know, it's really, really bouncy. You know, you can see how bouncy the suspension is here. They're just friction shocks, they're not oil filled shocks. But with it being such a heavy, hard body, you know, it's very, very wobbly and bouncy. They do come with the O-rings you need. Okay, so your little O-rings go on your shaft and your big O-rings go on your cap. So it comes with the O-rings you need. You just need the actual oil. Most people use like a 20 weight oil. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to take you through how we're going to get the shocks off, how we're going to oil fill them, make sure there's no air in them, and then we'll get all full done, and we'll see the difference it's made with the oil filled shocks. Okay, just if it helps show the difference, I've just done the rears off camera, just to show you the difference between the front and the rear now. So we've now got oil filled on the rear and still stock on the front. So stock, still really bouncy. Yeah, tapping it and it's like really, really bouncy. The rear, you can see we've actually got dampening now. So if we push it down, it just comes back up smoothly. Push the front down, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. Just if it helps visualize even more as well. So front, rear. So front are still standard, so see how bouncy that is. Rear oil filled, it's such a difference. Look, that's what it should have come like from the factory in my opinion, but you know, it's a shame they didn't. But yeah, oil filled, stock, such a difference. So let's get the fronts done. I'll show you how we do it, and then we can hit the mini crawler course in the back garden so we can actually see how it performs now with those oil filled shocks versus before with just the friction shocks. So to get the shocks off on the front and the rear, you've got this little 1.5mm screw at the very top, and then it's just basically a push fit at the very bottom that you're just going to basically just pull it off, and then when you want to put it back on, you're going to push it back on. It is easier if you take the wheel off. You don't have to take the wheel off, but it is easier if you take the wheel off. So you're going to get your little 1.5mm hex driver and just unscrew that bolt, screw, whatever you want to call it, at the very top. Okay, so that's out. You can just push it off with a nail. There you go, just pop it off. Comes off like that. What we're going to do is this piece unscrews. So that piece just unscrews. Okay, and then to get the bottom piece off, you need to clamp something onto the actual shock. Now you can, if you've got a small enough flathead or crosshead, you can just see in there, you can actually use a flathead or a crosshead to hold it or unscrew it while you unscrew this. Or what you can just do is get yourself a bit of paper towel and a pair of pliers. Put your paper towel over your actual shock shaft. Bit fiddly, but then get your pliers. Basically hold that in place, and then you should be able to just undo it. Okay, and that little piece just comes off, and then careful when you let go because your spring will go flying. So just pop your paper towel out the way, your spring comes off, and then you have your shaft and this cap. So basically just pull this cap off, okay, and then your shaft will come out, okay, nice and easy. So then in your packet of goodies, you are going to get out, now different people do it different ways depending on, you know, what opinion, that was a weird noise, depending on what opinion you have. So the big O-ring is going to go on here. Apologies if I'm like all over the shop trying to see this, but the big O-ring just slips on the top there. Okay, so hopefully you can see if my camera focuses. There you go. So the big O-ring, just roll it on nicely, just make sure it seats nicely. Okay, so that just goes on the top there. Now some people use 2 small O-rings, but I am just going to use the 1. Now the reason for that is when you use 2 and you put them on the shaft and you put the little cap back on, the cap doesn't sit snug all the way, and I think that's more likely to leak. But I mean, we'll try it basically, you know, if it leaks, it's only a bit of oil, clean it up, put it back on again. So basically what you're going to do, if I put my little O-ring down here, you're going to get your shock body, you're going to put your shaft inside your shock body like that, okay? And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your little O-ring, okay, and then you're going to put it on the very end, just roll it on, easier said than done when you've got little butterfingers, but just best roll it onto the end, make sure it's straight and it's not all kinked and all over the shop, okay, and then you're basically just going to let it sit down there. Then you're going to get your cap, okay, your cap is just going to push over onto the end and just give that a firm push. And then once you've pushed your cap on, so you can see it should be, you know, a decent seal all the way around, then you should see that your shaft should slide in and out, and you'll feel a bit of resistance on it because obviously that O-ring is going to give a bit of resistance. So I mean, you could technically run it without oil and just have like a more friction shock, but you know, you want the oil in there really. But yeah, so I've just used the 1 O-ring. Obviously, you know, use 2 if you want, but when I put 2 on, I found the cap was getting pushed off slightly, and I thought that's more likely to pop off, you know, under heavy use. So I've just gone for the 1 O-ring. I'm going to take it that the others are spares. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get our shock oil. So I've just got this 200 CST, which is 20 weight shock oil. Now I'm no expert when it comes to shock oils, but this is what I'm going to use. Get a bit of paper towel in case it gets messy, and then I'm going to put 1 drop in first of all. Okay, and then with that 1 drop in, I'm just going to move my shaft up and down, and then if you see, okay, obviously I don't want all the oil to come out, but I'm just going to try and get it so the oil can go past. There you go, and you can feel it. Once it manages to get past, it's lubricating that O-ring. You can see now that O-ring is moving much more freely. So now we've got a bit of oil on that O-ring. Some people will put like a green lubricant on the O-ring, like use different types of lubricants, but if you just let some of that oil get past, then you know, you've got a bit of lubrication on that O-ring. And then what I've done for the rest of them, I've just put in like 3 drops of oil. So some people will fill it. Again, everybody does it different ways, but for me, I am just going to do 3 drops of oil. Okay. And then I'm just going to work it up and down a bit. Just try and get some of the air out. And then what I like to do, again, I'm no shock expert, but what I like to do is keep the shaft as close to the top as possible to get the air out, and then screw my cap back on. If I can actually screw my cap on. Hey, there we go. So then screw my cap on, nice and tight. You should see now that if you push your shaft, you have a bit of resistance and it comes back out. Okay, so again, you could play around with like how much oil you want to get in there to get, you know, how you want it to be. You know, basically I'll try it out. If it doesn't seem like it's enough or it seems like it's too much, you know, it's dead easy just to strip it apart again and just change it. So the next stage is just the reverse of what we did to take it apart. So we're going to get our spring, we're going to pop our spring back on there, okay, and then we're going to want to get our bit of paper towel and our pliers and just hold it back on there. So let me do that a second. Okay, so we've got our spring on, got our cap on, we're holding our shaft, and then we're going to get our bottom cap. I'm just going to screw it back on carefully. Hopefully you can see. And then basically just going to keep screwing it on until it's on all the way. And then you should feel, you know, a bit of resistance when it gets to the very end. Okay, so then if we take that off, and then now with the spring on there, we've got an actual half decent shock absorber. So there you go, easy peasy. So we'll get that back on there, get the other one done, and then we'll give it a test. Pop that bottom of the shock back on, just push it on, and then obviously do your bolt up at the top, nice and snug, and then get your wheel back on, do them nice and tight, and then let's see what it's like. So there we go, all done. So now you can see, yeah, I mean, look at the difference there, look. So much better. I mean, don't get me wrong, that may not be perfect, and like I said, I am no shock guru, so obviously if you're watching this and you're cringing going, no, you've done it all wrong, then drop a comment down below so everybody can learn from my mistakes. But yeah, you know, it should be a fairly simple process, and at the end of the day, I'm sure some shock oil is better than no shock oil. And if it helps visualize it again, then here you've got your Traxxas TRX4M, which has your stock oil-filled shocks, and then obviously we've just done our oil-filled shocks there. You know, you can see it's not bad, if I do say so myself. Okay, so let's try out this suspension now. We've got these oil-filled shocks. So we're in first gear, so we've got a nice slow speed control. You can just see it's not as bouncy as it was before, is it? This is a good little section to come through here, because normally as it comes over these rocks, before it would kind of slam down on the rocks. So it'd be interesting to see what it's like now, so let's give it a try. Yeah, you can see it's still got a little bit of body wobble, which is obviously to be expected because it is a big, heavy, hard body. Let's get a hang up on that one rock. To me, that just seems so much smoother than it was before. You know, you can hear and see it's not bouncing around so much. If you check out some of my other videos where I was doing a comparison between the FCX24 and the TRX4M or the SCX24, they're in the reviews playlist. You know, you could see it was much bouncier, much more wobbly and everything. You know, I'd say it's so much more stable. And obviously that's just, you know, me just putting a few drops of shock oil in there. I'm sure if If you want to fine tune it, you could do, and obviously you can swap to different shocks like Enduro shocks and everything. You know, you can still, we've still got the flex and everything as well. We don't seem to have lost a load of flex. Okay, one last little run just to show off the oil-filled shocks. Let's just run across along here. You can see it's just so much smoother. Stuck. Nice. So you can see you've still got a bit of body roll, but obviously, you know, it is a heavy, hard body, and you know, it's to be expected. But it's definitely so much smoother than it was. I mean, I'm really happy with that. I'm stuck again. See, for me now, that's way more in keeping with like how smooth the throttle is. Just oh, it did like a nosedive then. Definitely needs some more load out weight, that's for sure. Oh dear. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth doing. So just to recap, I can't remember how many numbers I went through now of things to do, 4, 5, 6. But basically you've got the, you know, swapping those screws around the front to give you a bit more turning angle. You know, changing from forward brake reverse to just forward reverse, which I think is just a bit of a nicer way to drive. Doing that steering dual rate, so you get again more steering angle, and then to me the most important thing is those oil-filled shocks. So 4 main points. If there's any others in there, bonus. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. Drop me a comment if you've got any questions. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss upcoming videos. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.